Here I'm going to talk about the structure and types of neuron. Coming to this nervous system, it is divided into central nervous system and peripheral nervous system. The central nervous system consists of this brain with a spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system includes this peripheral nerves and the associated ganglia. The peripheral nerves attached to this brain, here these are called the cranial nerves, and the peripheral nerves attached to the spinal cord, these are called the spinal nerves. In that, 8 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, 5 sacral, and 1 coccygeal. So there are 31 pairs of spinal nerves and 12 pairs of cranial nerves. Here, this is the inferior view of this brain. Here you can see these are the cerebral hemispheres. This is the median, this is the brain stem. Here you can see this is the midbrain, pons and medulla. This is towards anteriorly, this is posteriorly. Here this part is the cerebellum. So the cranial nerves attached are here. This is the olfactory, this is optic, this is oculomotor, this is trochlear, trigeminal, this is abducens, this is facial, vestibulocochlear, glossopharyngeal, vagus, accessory, and this is the hypoglossal. These are the 12 pairs of the cranial nerves. So the nerves which controls the, that means which supplies the body whole and the limbs called the cerebrospinal nerves, and the nerves which supplies this viscera along with parts of this brain and the spinal cord constitute the autonomic nervous system, which includes the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. So the nervous system controls the voluntary and involuntary activities of the body and adjusts the individuals to the surroundings. And here is made up of predominantly or specialized excitable cells which forms the structural and functional units of the nervous system, that is called the neuron. The structure of the neuron, here you can see this is the cell body, that is called the soma or the perikaryon, and the processes here, these are called the neurites. The short process here, these are the dendrites, numerous. Here this long process here, these are the axon. Okay. Coming to the structure of the cell body of this neuron, it has central nucleus with its prominent nucleolus. Then cytoplasm consists of this Golgi complex. Here ribosomes, centrioles are there. Then this neurofibrils, which includes this microtubules and microfilaments, which is responsible for the cellular transport. The special feature of this neuron cell body is the presence of this micelle substance. These are granular material. Here is composed of this ref endoplasmic reticulum, which is responsible for manufacturing this protein. And this protein is necessary for this maintenance and repair and for the production of neurotransmitters and enzymes. So here this is the micelle substance. These granules which stains deeply with this basic dyes and aqueous bluish color. Here it usually extends into this dendrites, this short process. It won't extend to this axon. So that micelle free zone here, this is called the axon hillock. Here you can see this long process, this is axon of uniform diameter. Here the part of the axon here, this is the initial segment. See the dendrites bears numerous spines for the synaptic conduct, which is irregular in thickness also here, dendrites. The functional difference is that neurons which, these dendrites which carry impulses towards the cell body and the axons which carries impulses away from the cell body. Here comes the types of neurons. So when during the formation here, each axons comes in contact with certain cells. Those are the oligodendrocytes. Oligodendrocytes which you can see in the CNS, and the Schwann cells there. These you can see in this peripheral nervous system outside the CNS. Okay. So these cells provides the myelin sheath for the axons. So those axons which have myelin sheath, those are called the myelinated axons. Those who don't have myelin sheath, that is the unmyelinated axons. These are the short axons. Examples are the interneurons. And these axons are made up of lipids and proteins here. Here you can see this is the cell body, this is the dendrites, this one is the axon. Here this is the myelin sheath, see the myelin sheath. These gaps, these are called the nodes of Ranvier. So this nodes of Ranvier helps in the jumping conduction of impulses from one node to next, and it extends till down where it terminates, till that level it extends. This type of conduction, that is called the saltatory conduction, okay, which increases the velocity of the conduction here. Here you can see this is the termination of the axons where it breaks into these branches, fine branches. These are called the telodendrium, which has some swellings. Here it bears some swellings there that forms the synaptic knobs or this terminal buttons. Terminal buttons. Okay, so there are myelinated and unmyelinated axons are there. Then here, when we take a section of this brain and the spinal cord, some areas appears as whitish in color, that forms the white matter. Some areas appears as grayish in color, that forms the gray matter. Okay, here this is the section of the spinal cord. This is the transverse section. Here this is the gray matter inside and the white matter is outside. So the cell bodies of neurons are located in the gray matter and also contains dendrites and axons starting from or ending on the cell bodies. Okay, most fibers within the gray matter are unmyelinated. So this white matter consists of myelinated fibers, and it is the reflection of this myelin, okay, by this light, which gives that region a whitish appearance. Okay. Here this is the section of the cerebrum. Here this is the lateral view, towards anteriorly and posteriorly. We take a section like this and view it from anteriorly. This is the outer part, this is the gray matter. The inside, this is the white matter. So the outer part here, that forms the cortex. The inside this white matter, it consists of aggregations of this gray matter here, see in white matter. These are called the nuclei, which consists of cell bodies of neurons. Such collections of the cell bodies of neurons which present outside the CNS, that constitutes the ganglia. Okay, here inside the CNS, these aggregations of cell bodies of neurons here in this white matter, that forms the nuclei. Okay, then the types according to the structure, here you can see this is the bipolar neuron, this is the unipolar, this is the multipolar neuron. So here this bipolar, this is a cell body here, this is the dendrite and this one is the axon. Two processes are there. So this bipolar neurons examples are the bipolar cells you can see in the olfactory epithelium and this retina. Here this is the unipolar neuron, this is the cell body. Here it gives off a process, single process here. After short distance it divides into two processes. One is the peripheral process and the other is the central process. So here this is the peripheral process, this one, okay, which extends from this periphery, and the central process which extends to the spinal cord. Okay. Here these are the axons. Then coming to this multipolar neurons here, this is the cell body. Here this is the stellate. Here this is the nucleus. Here towards eccentric in position here. Here you can see these are the dendrites. Here this one long process here. These are the axons. Here these are the multipolar neurons. Here most of this motor neurons here. These are of multipolar. Motor neurons are examples for this multipolar neurons. Sensory neurons are examples for this unipolar neurons. Here you can see this is the sensory neuron. This is the unipolar. Here this is the peripheral process. Here this is the central process. Here you can see this is the interneuron is there. Here this is the motor neuron, so multipolar type. Here these are the dendrites, this is cell body, this is the axon here. These are the telodendria with synaptic knobs there. So these interneurons which transfer signals from the sensory neuron to this motor neuron. Here you can see interneuron has a short axon. This myelin sheath is not there. You can see this is the myelin sheath. Then classification according to size. There is a Golgi type 1 and type 2 neurons. This is the section of the cerebral cortex. There you can see some large cells there. These are the pyramidal cells. Okay, these comes under the Golgi type 1 neurons, which has long axons and it connects remote regions. Okay, this Golgi type 1 neurons. Okay, examples, there are motor neurons. Then here you can see there are small neurons here. These are the Golgi type 2 neurons, okay, short axons, okay, which terminates usually near this cell body. Okay, these interneurons are examples for this Golgi type 2 neurons. Then comes the supporting cells of this nervous system. So this nervous system includes the neurons, here neurons, then supporting tissue, that is called the glial cells, then also blood vessels. Here this is the neuroglia. So the supporting cells of the CNS forms the neuroglia. In the peripheral nerve system, you can see there are Schwann cells there, which provides myelin sheath for the axons which present outside the CNS, okay, which provides myelin sheath. Then there are capsular cells or stellate cells are there. So these capsular cells are the supporting cells we can see around a peripheral ganglion. Like this is the cell body of the ganglia. So the supporting cells of this peripheral ganglia forms this capsular cells. These two comes under the peripheral nerve system. Here in the central nerve system, here those are called the neuroglia, which consists of microglia and macroglia. Macroglia includes these astrocytes and these oligodendrocytes. So this is the astrocyte, star-shaped cell. Here these are the processes there. Okay. Here these the processes here. Here this ends in relates to a capillary. Here the processes are expanded that area. This is the foot of this process of this astrocytes. Here it forms a blood-brain barrier here. Then these astrocytes are of two types. One is the protoplasmic astrocytes and fibrous astrocytes. So this protoplasmic astrocyte here, these processes are expanded in the protoplasmic astrocytes. Okay, here this is the nucleus and expanded and leaf-like. Okay. Then the fibrous astrocytes here, these are slender process. These astrocytes has slender process here. There you can see in this white matter, protoplasmic astrocytes you can see predominantly in this gray matter. Then here these are the oligodendrocytes. This is cell body. Few processes are there which provides this myelin sheath for the axons in the CNS. Here you can see this is the myelin sheath, blue color here. Okay. Then this oligodendrocytes also here which enclose several axons, but the Schwann cells encase only one axon. Okay. Here you can see this is the microglia, the smallest cells here. These are the cell bodies, these are flattened. These are the process. Here these are more numerous in this gray matter which also act as phagocytes. Okay. So these are the supporting cells. Additional to that, here you can see these are the ependymal cells. So these cells which lines the central canal of the spinal cord and the ventricles of the brain. So these called the ependymal cells. Here, which one? These cells filter blood to make the cerebrospinal fluid. These ependymal cells. See this cells here. So columnar like cells, nuclei. These are the cilia of this ependymal cells. So here seen the structure of the neuron with the types of neurons according to this structure. that is the unipolar, bipolar, and the multipolar. Then according to the size, there are Golgi type 1 and type 2 neurons. In the presence of this myelin sheath, there are myelinated and unmyelinated neurons. Then according to the function, there are the sensory neurons and the motor neurons are there. Then also have seen the supportive cells. Those are called the neuroglia. Okay. Yes, that's all.